Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Simi Adesina and I'm your chairman, and Massimo is the timekeeper. This debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators who are Miss Emma Chloe, Mr. Riley Lawrence, and Miss France. The topic for our debate is that superheroes should be held accountable for the damage they cause. The affirmative team seated to my right is from Emmaus, and the negative team seated to my left is from Grange Primary. The speaking time for this debate is 3 minutes with a double bell at the end of your speaking time. A warning bell will ring once at 2 minutes. A continuous bell will ring 30 seconds after the final bell. I declare this debate open, and I call upon the first affirmative speaker, Tanisha.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that superheroes should be held accountable for the damage that they cause. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is indisputably true. For the purpose of this topic, we define a superhero as a fictional character or a real-life individual person with superhuman powers or exceptional skills, whose goal is to defend ordinary civilians. We define accountability as being held responsible and answerable for one's actions, potentially facing consequences such as legal liability, government oversight, reparations, or moral responsibility, and damage as the negative outcomes caused by superheroes' actions, which may include destruction of property, harm to people, emotional trauma, and unintended side effects of their battles. Today, as the first speaker, I will be talking to you about how superheroes should not be above the law, and how with the lack of oversight, superheroes can recklessly misuse their powers. Our second speaker will discuss how superheroes should set an example for members of society who look up to them, and how holding superheroes accountable builds public trust. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. My first point is that superheroes should not be above the law, as unchecked power undermines justice and equality. Real-life events show the dangers when individuals or groups playing by their own rules. The Watergate scandal in 1972 is a clear example when those in power believe they are a law unto themselves. It could cause serious crime. The FBI found the former US President Nixon used his power to override the law, which has resulted in national crisis and social injustice. This highlights that allowing anyone, no matter their intentions or abilities, to operate outside the law leads to harm and erodes impartially in society. If superheroes are permitted to be untouchable by the law, they risk causing similar damage. Now, to my second point. My second point is that superheroes may recklessly misuse their powers with a lack of oversight. Power without limits is dangerous. As Lord Acton said, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Studies in the Journal of Applied Psychology show that people with unchecked power take bigger risks, and research in the American Journal of Sociology found that police misconduct rises when oversight is weak. The Journal of Personality and Social Psychology also shows that when people think they won't face consequences, they act more selfishly and aggressively. Pop culture agrees. The New Yorker highlights how shows like The Boys reveal unregulated heroes turning into threats. And as the Harvard Law Review explains, accountability is the foundation of legitimacy. Without it, superheroes risk misusing their powers recklessly and losing the trust of the people they serve. So, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, superheroes should indisputably be held accountable for the damage that they cause. As Batman once said, "It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me." Thank you.
the first negative speaker, Lilia.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that superheroes should be held accountable for the damage they cause. We respectfully disagree with the definition given by the opposition, because the topic implies that superheroes should be held accountable, not accountability. However, we, the negative team, believe that this statement is unquestionably false. The first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that just because superheroes are different than ordinary individuals doesn't mean they are above the law. This is false because according to the University of Southern California, superheroes carry an enormous amount of pressure to defend threats. By allowing superheroes to be punished, we are discouraging them to the point where we are basically implying for them to not even bother saving civilians. Today's first speaker, I will be talking to you about how superheroes step in if the government and the police cannot defend civilians. I will also be talking about how if the military isn't held accountable for its destruction, why should superheroes? Our second speaker will be talking about why the deed of preserving a life is assuredly more valuable than collateral damage. She will also be talking about how villains cause damage and superheroes risk everything to stop them. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. Today I'll be discussing 2 points. Now to my first point. Superheroes offer their vulnerability to protect individuals when police and the government cannot. This is because, according to The Guardian, superheroes serve a predominant purpose in protecting humanity. In circumstances where villains attack, the government can't always provide protection for society. In 2020, Time magazine stated how superheroes fill the gap left when original methods fall short. After all, there is a significant difference between everyday criminals and villains with abnormal powers. Now to my second point, how armed forces cause intentional destruction to other countries to protect their own, and are not responsible for damage. This is because, according to Modern War Institute, military forces serve their country and fight against other nations. The Conflict and Environment Observatory, who monitor consequences of conflict, already stated destruction caused by military forces have a significant impact on society. Unlike armies serving national interests through force, superheroes risk it all to protect everyone. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, just like Superman, perhaps the most recognizable superhero, once said, there is a right and a wrong in the universe, and the distinction is not hard to make. At the heart of this debate lies one simple truth. Property can be rebuilt, lives can never be replaced. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Zoe Scott.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that superheroes should be held accountable for the damage that they cause. We, the affirmative team, strongly believe that this statement is unquestionably true. Before I share my points, I'd like to point out some flaws in the opposition's case. The first speaker has tried to tell you that it is unfair for superheroes to hold superheroes accountable if there were a lack of viable options. This is wrong, as the international law holds even soldiers in combat accountable for proportional use of force, proving that a crisis does not excuse collateral damage. The first speaker has also tried to rebut, saying that superheroes would have a lot of stress should they be held accountable for the damage that they cause. While accountability may add stress, it is a necessary part of any high-stakes role. Studies on the emergency responders in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology 2017 show that legal frameworks actually reduce operational ambiguity and stress. Now to my recap. Our first speaker has already stated that with a lack of oversight, superheroes can recklessly misuse their powers. She has also stated that superheroes should not be above the law. Today, I'll be talking to you about 2 points. My first point is that superheroes should be held accountable for damages because they set an example for those who look up to them, especially children. According to Bandura's social learning theory, children imitate behaviours they observe in powerful role models, which makes superheroes highly influential. Therefore, superheroes need to be setting the right example. According to Martins and colleagues, reporting in the Journal of Media Psychology in 2023, children who identified with superheroes were more likely to take risks and act aggressively during play. This evidence highlights that children copy not just the courage of superheroes, but also their recklessness, which means showing heroes taking accountability for their actions could set a better example for younger audiences. Now to my second point. My second point is that holding superheroes accountable builds the trust of the public. According to the Harvard Law Review in 2010, accountability is a cornerstone of maintaining legitimacy in any institution, whether that's governments, corporations, or individuals with extraordinary influence. A 2015 study in the Journal of Business Ethics found that when leaders and organisations admit mistakes and take responsibility, public trust increases significantly, even in the face of failure. The same principle applies to superheroes. If they cause destruction but are seen repairing the damage, apologising, or cooperating with the authorities, people are far more likely to view them as protectors. Therefore, superheroes taking accountability would also build the trust of the public. So, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the Affirmative team, strongly believe that superheroes should most certainly be held accountable for the damage that they cause. As Iron Man once said, heroes are made by the path they choose, not the powers that they are graced with. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Ava Scott Tommy.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for debate is that superheroes should be held accountable for the damage they cause. We, the negative team, believe that this statement is undoubtedly false. The second and final speaker has tried to tell you that superheroes should display as a role model, which they aren't doing. This is unmistakably false, because superheroes are an impeccable role model for younger children or anyone. They set an example to help anyone in our community, no matter who. They display values, courage, and that everybody can be who they want to be. For example, an exquisite superhero. She also stated that superheroes are copied by many young audiences, so they need to set the right examples. This is false because in the end, superheroes are humans who have ordinary flaws and mistakes. Nobody can control this and nobody needs to be perfect. Our first speaker has already stated, in circumstances which supervillains may attack, traditional procedures like police and government forces won't be enough. She also spoke about how the military protect their country and cause damage. Superheroes are the same, voluntarily being a saviour and protecting humanity. Today, I will be talking to you about 2 points. Now, to my first point. The destruction left in superheroes' wake is worthless. We went against the immense sacrifices they are willing to endure, such as their own life. This is because an article written by Joel Hodge, lecturer at Australian University, promoted by ABC News, stated superheroes prioritise others' lives, accepting the burden of mortal sacrifice. Their willingness to endure such cost outweighs any destruction that occurs in the process. In Avengers Endgame, Iron Man sacrifices himself to restore the universe, proving superheroes act for the greater good, not destruction. Now, to my second point. Superheroes act with moral intent, whilst villains act with malice. Holding both equally responsible for their actions is unfair towards superheroes. The reason for this is Professor Bainbridge, who wrote an article for the University of Canberra, spoke about how any vacant-minded villain craves for chaos and harm. In The Incredibles, Mr. Incredible is forced to derail a train whilst disarming the bomb supervillain syndrome rigged to him, resulting in an unescapable damage from the train track and injuring passengers. So why only hold a superhero accountable? It's like teaching children that material objects should come before human safety. Not only damaging, but incredibly erroneous. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, as Wonder Woman, a fearless warrior declared, if no one else will defend the world, then I must. Maybe it's time we finally start valuing lives over walls of concrete. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Lachlan Lee.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic of this debate is that superheroes should be held accountable for the damage they cause. We, the affirmative team, undoubtedly believe that this statement is true. As a third speaker of the affirmative team, I will now point out some flaws in the opposition's case. The second speaker has tried to tell you that superheroes should avoid consequences due to the good they have dealt to the community. Doing good doesn't erase responsibility. Psychological studies on moral licensing prove that past good deeds can increase future unethical behavior by creating a sense of impunity. No amount of prior good justifies superheroes from the obligation to minimize harm. The second negative speaker has also tried to tell you that putting rules on superheroes will slow them down and cost lives. However, the research in the Journal of Public Administration Research and Theory found that accountability systems actually make emergency responses more efficient and safer. The United Nations Human Rights Council also shows that oversight reduces harm in dangerous situations. Rules don't stop superheroes. They help them act smarter with more public support. The second speaker has tried to tell you that superheroes should not be held accountable, as heroes or villains are judged samely, which is unfair. This is wrong. The greater good cannot excuse unchecked power. The Bureau of Investigative Journalism's 2019 research on counter-terrorism strikes proved that unaccountable saving causes immense unintended harm. The principle of proportionality under the Geneva Conventions of 1949 requires minimizing collateral damage. Accountability ensures heroes refine tactics, preventing more destruction. Now to my summary. The first speaker of the affirmative team has told you that superheroes should never be above the law. She also said that with a lack of oversight, superheroes could become reckless. The second speaker has told you that superheroes have to set an example for those who look up to them. She also said that holding superheroes liable could build up public trust. So, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the affirmative team, undoubtedly believe that this statement is true. The affirmative team would like to leave with you a quote by Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Ayla.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that superheroes should be held accountable for the damage they cause. We, The negative team believe that this statement is undoubtedly false. The first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you how superheroes think they're above the law. This is unarguably false, because being a superhero is a voluntary job, meaning that superheroes sacrifice their lives for a safer world. So how can superheroes be above the law when protecting our world? If anything, superheroes are helping the government and police by protecting cities from greater damage. The second affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that if superheroes are being reckless, they aren't setting a good example. This is irrefutably false, because saving a country, protecting citizens, is exactly what a role model is. Superheroes are showing responsible actions that will help in later life, such as how to save neighbours from a house on fire, or saving others from dangerous causes. Not only are superheroes role models, but great people to look up to. The third affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that without punishment, society can't trust superheroes to be responsible. This is irrefutably wrong, because superheroes' accountability is paid on flesh, blood, and their very lives. Iron Man in Avengers Endgame didn't need to prove his responsibility. He showed it when he sacrificed himself to restore half the universe. Trust is a two-way street, and gaining it is different for everyone. Here's a summary of what our team stated. Our first speaker spoke to you about how superheroes step in when governments and police can, because lives can't wait for a red tape. She also raised the fact that if militaries aren't blamed for the collateral damage of defending their nation, then superheroes, driven by the same purpose, shouldn't be either. Our second speaker spoke to you about how superheroes willingly put society as their primary concern, never hesitating to protect others. She also mentioned that superheroes act with noble intent, whilst villains act with an intention to jeopardize others. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, as a creator of the Marvel movies, Stan Lee once said, that person who held others simply because it should or must be done, and because it is the right thing to do, is indeed, without a doubt, a real superhero. Smart words if I say so myself. Thank you.